Vifaa hospitalini, tumetengeneza mambo ya NHIF na rekodi yetu ni wazi. Yao watueleze, wawache fitina. Na hawawezi kunitisha, hawawezi.
For the Deputy President to actually insinuate Anatishwa is very rare. We've heard other people talking about actually probably directing such a statement towards him, that to say to Tishe. But when it comes from the Deputy President, it says something different.
Yeah, looking at the Deputy President's body language, I think the Deputy President is in this situation of an unknown. This handshake seems to have totally turned his political world inside out, and it reminds me of when you're going to, when you used to go to Kuwinda Mnyama. Sometimes if you didn't know what was in the forest, you would take your rungu and throw it inside and then first see what comes out. I think really that's where the Deputy President is. The fact that Uhuru Kenyatta is very quiet doesn't help, because he doesn't know what his boss is thinking about. And he really doesn't know this inside out of the handshake, what it is. But I think the big elephant in the house, looking at his body language and people close to him speaking, they're really running scared about this referendum thing. If I was in the Rutto camp or advising Rutto, he ran the no campaign and it served him then very well, because he then needed to cut his teeth, break away, so to speak, from the shadow of Raila Odinga, who is his father and tutor in politics. And it helped him, because it helped him to consolidate the no and the church and that platform. I don't think he can afford to be on the opposite side while in government. I think he should run with the referendum thing and then try to prime himself in terms of what is the give and take, what it is that would hurt my chances, and negotiate from inside. Yes. I think he's running away from something whose time has come, looking at Kenya. And it's not only Raila Odinga who's Building Bridges initiative with the president is fronting this. We've seen people like the Third Way Alliance, they've come up with this thing. We've seen like Kamket, individual bills. I myself have come up with a proposal, a notice to try and amend Article 115. I have seen Chris Wamalwa has come up with a proposal to change the date of election. This thing is going to happen. The question is, how does the DP want to relate with it?
And how does he get into this argument while he's still in government? And probably that's the biggest challenge, according to what I hear from you.
Yes.
And the Star asks, is Rutto plotting to abandon Jubilee? He's already said that part of the plan by Raila Odinga is to kick him out of Jubilee. That discussion of the possibility of him not being in Jubilee, that's also very interesting. Clearly he's rattled. He even, just looking at his body language, that is not the kind of demeanor we've seen in the past.
Now, I need to set the record straight from the onset that I am close to the DP.
Yes, and I'm asking you that knowing fully well that you're part of that.
Exactly. Team. And I want to say from the onset again that we do not have an issue with the referendum. It should be on record that I'm equally part of the people who equally want some few changes in the law, but not really at this time. What the DP is saying is that there are so many problems that Kenyans are facing, so many problems than the referendum. It's actually not a priority as at now. We have a cash flow challenge, we are already in debts, you know, we are looking for money from all quarters for development, we've got big for agenda to deliver and so much, you know. But already on the other side, Right Honorable Raila Odinga and team and Honorable Oluoch and every other person, they're talking about referendum. I mean, that is not what Kenyans want. Kenyans are talking about the fight against corruption. Kenyans are talking about better hospitals. They're talking about better roads. And that is what the DP is saying, clearly. Now, on the issue of being pushed out of Jubilee, again, DP is not frustrated. Actually, DP is only responding to what has been said, or rather what has been the indication that have been shown since the entry of Right Honorable Raila Odinga to Jubilee, or rather the famous handshake. If you've noticed, and I think it's very important for me at this point to say that I'm one of the then proponent of Raila Odinga. And actually, Raila Odinga was driving a bus to Canaan. Along the way, he abandoned the bus and left his co-drivers and jumped out of the bus and went to another bus and claimed that is Canaan. When some of us try to jump to the other bus, thinking probably that, okay, fine, the other bus has got the occupants that you also need to relate with, what we were told is that, fine, you need to negotiate, you only need to deal with the driver, who is Uhuru Kenyatta, and avoid the deputy president. So what Ruto is doing right now is only to respond out of the hate that is being propagated by the side of the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. That it is actually hypocritical to say we are perpetuating peace, we are pushing for peace and harmony in this country, but you're not supposed, you're telling Aisha Juma not to relate with William Ruto. Okay. You're telling the other leaders not to say hi to William Ruto. I mean, is William Ruto not a Kenyan? So this is the high level of hypocrisy, and I find it in Raila Odinga, not William Ruto. Honorable
Wamalwa, you talk a lot, you have a lot of stories about the village, and when you're fighting in the village, you don't say usinitishe mimi unless you're not really sure about your stand in this fight. Isn't that the kind of demeanor you see, that this is not something that a strong person actually says usually?
Let me tell you, in the politics of this country, and right now we cannot run away from the 2022. There are two critical players that you cannot underrate. This is Raila Amolo Odinga and William Samoei Ruto. These are the two politicians that are going to define the politics of this country. Look at William Ruto. William Ruto is as a student of Moi and Raila Odinga. Moi in terms of generosity and Raila Odinga in terms of political aggressiveness. When you look at the other side, you find that this referendum issue, it is all about succession. William Ruto under Jubilee, they had a very proper succession, whereby Jubilee was saying, give us the 20 years, 10 for Uhuru Kenyatta, 10 for William Ruto. But the song has now changed. So William Ruto was a heartbeat away from the presidency. But after seeing things are changing, and you cannot underrate Raila Amolo Odinga. Raila Amolo Odinga joined KANU. If it were not Raila Amolo Odinga to have joined KANU, by now KANU will still be ruling. So William Ruto understands who is this Raila Amolo Odinga. Raila Amolo Odinga, that handshake has brought a lot of change in this country. It has a lot of benefits and it has casualties. And when you look at that handshake properly, the person who is likely to be the casualty is William Ruto, and he has seen it. So he must strategize himself. And Raila Odinga, you know, the peace in this country, because of the handshake, the conducive environment, it also has some advantages and disadvantages. So this referendum will change the constitution. Remember, William Ruto was a no. Raila Odinga and President Uhuru, they were in yes. Now, even William Ruto, wherever he is, he knows very well we need these changes. But he's not aware, he's not sure, because he's likely to be the casualty. He doesn't know what will come in. One, people look at this referendum as a way of creating another position for President Uhuru Kenyatta to come back through backdoor for his third term. There's that in the public domain. Some of us who are parliamentarians, I strongly feel we need a referendum, particularly to have cabinet ministers to come from the floor of the House. I don't think this country were ready for a presidential system. The parliamentary system, all parliamentarians will support that you want cabinet CSs to come from the floor of the House. That one will go through. But now on the issue of the structure, even up here, Kenyans feel we need an all-inclusive governance. Let's have a president, let's have a deputy, let's have prime minister with the deputies. At least the communities can feel that inclusivity.
And you say
DP in his mind also knows.
All this uncertainty is what is rattling the deputy president.
Not just only the deputy president, everybody. Because the deputy president, because his eyes are on the ball.
Yes.
But he doesn't know what will be the referendum question. You know, when you look at the popular initiative, you can amend this constitution through the parliamentaries, through the parliament, or through the popular initiative of the referendum. When you change the governance structure, you must go through the referendum. When you want to move from the parliamentary system back, from presidential system to parliamentary system, you must also go through the referendum. Me personally, I do support a referendum so that we can have cabinet ministers coming from the floor of the House. But I'm against an issue whereby you create a referendum for maybe the president to have another executive power. That is what Kenyans don't want.
Well
so
said.
we must have a balance so that we can be able to agree and know what will be the referendum question.
Well, Well said, and this is definitely a discussion that will continue. The fact that the momentum in discussing the possibility of a referendum, whether or not we understand what exactly we want to change on the Constitution, whether or not we are clear, or we've left it to the politicians to decide which argument we should have, that is also a matter of discussion. And this is where we wrap up our news review today. Probably
so where are you going?
10 seconds for final remarks.